If you asked me what material played the biggest role in the rise of human civilization, I wouldn't hesitate for a second. It's iron. Since the very beginning of human history, iron has always been at the center of our lives. From the spoon and chopsticks on the breakfast table, to the cars, planes, and trains we use, all the way to the steel skeletons of the massive buildings that shape the skylines of modern cities, iron isn't just a material, it's the foundation of the world we've built. But because it's so familiar, we often take it for granted. We forget that iron is much more than just a common metal we use to make tools. Now, let's imagine this. What if iron, the element itself, had never existed anywhere in the universe? What would have happened? In fact, iron is an extraordinarily special element. It shapes the birth and death of stars and even the evolution of the cosmos. Without it, not only would human civilization be impossible, but the Earth, the Sun, and even life itself might have looked unrecognizable or might never have existed at all. Today, let's explore that fascinating possibility. What would happen without iron? Let's dive in. From a cosmic perspective, what would happen if iron simply didn't exist? To answer that, we first need to understand how iron is formed. Iron forms inside stars far more massive than our Sun, typically at least 8 times the mass of our Sun. In the beginning, these stars generate energy by fusing hydrogen into helium, but as their primary fuel starts to run out, the core temperature rises dramatically, and the star begins to fuse helium. This process continues, producing heavier and heavier elements: carbon, oxygen, neon, magnesium, and eventually silicon. In the final stage, deep inside the stellar core, these elements fuse one last time, ultimately forming iron. Iron, atomic number 26, is the most stable element that can be produced inside a star. Here's the crucial point. Iron no longer releases energy through fusion. In other words, iron is the end of the line. Once the core is filled with iron, the engine shuts down, fusion stops, and the core begins to collapse under its own gravity. As the star rapidly collapses, a supernova explosion is triggered. It's one of the most violent and important events in the universe. But what if iron didn't exist? First, it's very likely that the most powerful supernova explosions would never occur in the first place. Without supernova, the elements locked inside these stars would never be released into space. Without them, more complex elements would have had little to no chance of ever existing. This is where iron becomes crucial. Iron plays a key role in defining what astronomers call metallicity. In astronomy, metallicity refers to all elements heavier than hydrogen and helium. Without iron, the abundance of heavy elements in the universe would drop dramatically. As a result, the very spectra of stars and their entire evolutionary paths would be unrecognizable, and the universe itself would look nothing like the one we know today. Iron is one of the fundamental building blocks of rocky planets like Earth. Let's start with Earth's core. The core is composed of about 80 to 85% iron and 5 to 15% nickel, so it is predominantly iron. Because of this, Earth is able to generate a magnetic field. This field plays a crucial role in protecting our atmosphere from the solar wind, a stream of high-energy plasma from the sun. So what would happen if this magnetic field didn't exist? The atmosphere would gradually be stripped away by the solar wind. Eventually, it would disappear into space. Water would evaporate, and the environment needed for life would no longer exist. In other words, life as we know it would never have had a chance to begin. But iron's influence goes even deeper, starting with the ground beneath our feet. Iron is a major component of both the Earth's crust and its mantle. It bonds with oxygen, forming stable iron oxides. But iron does more than simply exist. It plays a key role in shaping Earth's chemical environment. Iron exists in different oxidation states, shifting between iron 2+ and iron 3+, and this balance strongly influences how oxidized the crust and mantle are. This in turn affects what kinds of minerals can form. Without iron, the chemical composition of Earth's surface would be significantly different from what we see today. And under those conditions, the environment would likely have been far less favorable for life to emerge and develop. There's one more important factor: density. Because iron is dense, it plays a key role in mantle convection and heat transfer. Iron-rich minerals act as carriers of energy within Earth's interior. This process is closely related to plate tectonics and the ongoing reshaping of the planet. In the end, iron plays a fundamental role in maintaining a stable and life-supporting environment on Earth. And there's another fascinating connection. Iron is also closely tied to oxygen levels on our planet. Iron oxides in Earth's crust bind oxygen, effectively locking it into solid minerals. They act as an important sink for oxygen within the crust and seafloor. Without iron, this oxygen sink would be significantly reduced. As a result, more oxygen could have remained in the atmosphere. And that change in atmospheric oxygen would have had a direct impact on life. Higher oxygen levels allow organisms to generate more energy. That can lead to larger body sizes and higher activity levels. And this isn't just theoretical. We've seen this before. During the Carboniferous period, when oxygen levels rose to over 30%, insects evolved to enormous sizes. In that kind of environment, humans might also have grown larger than we are today. But there's a catch. If atmospheric oxygen becomes too high, it can become harmful. Organisms are exposed to excessive reactive oxygen species, commonly known as free radicals. This leads to DNA damage, accelerated cellular aging, and an increase in diseases. Under these conditions, the diversity of life as we know it today might not have been sustainable. Interestingly, the opposite scenario is just as possible. Without iron, oxygen levels might actually decrease. Iron is an essential element for plants to produce chlorophyll. Chlorophyll converts light energy into chemical energy, and one of the direct results of this process is oxygen. Even though plants require only small amounts of iron, it plays a critical role in this system. If plants could not access that iron, they would not be able to synthesize chlorophyll effectively. As a result, photosynthesis would decline and oxygen levels in the atmosphere would likely decrease. In reality, it's very unlikely that Earth itself would have formed without iron, but let's assume somehow that it did. What would happen to life on such a planet? Iron plays a fundamental role in complex life. It is the central element in hemoglobin, the protein that allows our blood to carry oxygen. This is what enables aerobic respiration, the process that powers our bodies. Of course, nature has alternatives. Some organisms, like octopuses and crabs, use copper instead of iron to transport oxygen. Their blood isn't red, it's blue. If iron didn't exist, life might have been limited to these copper-based systems. Perhaps even humans would have evolved with blue blood, giving our skin a bluish tint. But copper isn't as efficient as iron. With iron, organisms can transport oxygen more effectively, generate more energy, and grow larger and more active. That's what made the kind of life we see today possible. And it goes deeper than that. Iron is involved in many essential biochemical reactions. Enzymes that contain iron play key roles in metabolism and energy conversion. Iron, therefore, has always been at the heart of active life on Earth. Beyond biology, iron has played a central role in shaping human civilization. It is one of the oldest metals ever used by humans, and its discovery marked a major turning point in history. The Iron Age was not just another period, it represented a significant technological leap, accelerating progress in agriculture, warfare, and construction. Now imagine a world without iron. Early humans would likely have relied much longer on stone, wood, and bronze, and that alone would have slowed the development of civilization across nearly every field. Iron's impact became even greater when it was transformed into steel. Steel is a core material in modern construction. Large structures such as bridges and skyscrapers would have been extremely difficult to build without it. Landmarks like the Eiffel Tower or the Statue of Liberty might never have existed. Iron is just as important in transportation. Because of iron, vehicles and roads could be built, railways became possible, ships could cross vast oceans, and even large-scale air travel networks could emerge. As a result, people, goods, and ideas could move across vast distances, ultimately connecting the entire world into a single integrated system. Without iron, the way people move and connect would have been fundamentally limited. This would have led human society to evolve very differently. Instead of large cities, communities would have remained smaller and more localized. Iron is also fundamental to modern electrical systems. Its magnetic properties make it essential in components such as transformer cores. While alternative materials exist, few can match its performance. Without iron, it is very likely that human civilization would not have developed into the electrical age as we know it. When you look at it this way, it is not an exaggeration to say that industrialization was built on iron. Of course, other metals such as copper, aluminum, and titanium also play important roles, but the scientific and technological foundation for using these materials developed alongside iron. It would likely have taken far longer to discover and utilize them without it. In the end, iron did not just support human progress, it shaped the foundation of the world we live in today. Today, we've explored how a single element, iron, is woven into the very fabric of our universe, our planet, and life itself. What we often think of as just a common metal actually shapes the birth and death of stars, helps form the world we live on, and plays a role in sustaining life within our own bodies. Isn't that incredible? The world we take for granted is in many ways built upon iron. So let's ask that question one last time. If iron had never existed, would we even be here to ask it? If you have your own vision of a universe without iron, I'd love to hear it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next episode. This has been Dr. Sai Vera.